When I first started making this video, I thought it was just going to be about how I fixed my 3 a.m. wake-ups. But as I was editing, I realized it's really about what can happen when you take low carb too far. So it's not easy for me to share this video, but I just thought it was really important because I know there are other people out there struggling with similar issues. What follows is what no one tells you about going too low carb for too long. So for me, I started eating paleo about 10 years ago, and I also went gluten-free, dairy-free, and lowered my sugar intake. That's when my journey to eating healthier started. And it was absolutely incredible for me just getting rid of gluten and dairy. I have Hashimoto's, which is a very common autoimmune thyroid disorder. And when I gave up gluten and dairy, most of the Hashimoto's symptoms were gone with a very rare flare-up of problems here and there. So that was hugely life-altering, and ever since then, I've somehow just naturally gone lower carb, and then lower carb, and then over the last 8 years, it's gone low, 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 to the point where I then decided to do an experiment of eating carnivore. And that's honestly when my problems began, and I started having some issues of waking up at 3 a.m. That started within 1 month of doing carnivore, and then insatiable hunger problems that I've never experienced in my life. I cannot tell you how torturous that is. I also put on about 10 pounds, and that really surprised me, and I feel like it's pure fat that I gained. And back then, I thought it was because I was consuming too much fat. I associated that with it, but now looking back, I'm thinking that I gained it because of the stress hormones and their effect on my body. I personally feel like when your body has to create its own sugar through the process of gluconeogenesis, its own glucose, that it can be a strain on the body. Maybe people are fine having that happen for years and years and years on end, but we are all very different, and not everybody is going to be okay with that. And some of you may experience problems like the wake-ups and other issues, and the solution is so simple, but we make it sound so bad, like you're doing something horrible. My experiment with carnivore taught me a lot. It brought me back to real food. It changed my taste for things, but it was not without its issues. I do want to say that people who do eat carnivore, for some people, it is a blessing that has helped them so incredibly much. And for some people who are food addicts, sugar addicts, it is incredibly beneficial. And for people who are obese and trying to lose the weight and get control over their life and health, it is absolutely incredible. But there are some of us who may not do well over time and may need to be open-minded to changing our ways. So for the unexpected problems after years of eating low carb and after doing my carnivore experiment, this is something that nobody told me, and I absolutely just didn't expect it. I just didn't think of this in advance, is that I completely changed my microbiome to the point where I could not even digest lettuce. It took me about 6 months, at least 6 months, to be able to eat a little bit of lettuce without having the most excruciating stabbing pains in my stomach. So I didn't realize that I would be unable to digest most foods that I was able to digest prior to doing that experiment. It surprised me. I should have known. It surprised me. But I started taking digestive enzymes prior to eating any foods that I knew would cause me pain, which was everything other than meat. And fruit was fine though too. There are certain things that I still can't tolerate, but there's certain things that I'm not actively really trying to add back in, that it takes a lot of work for me to be able to add another food back in. And it took so long to be able to eat more foods. I'm very happy I'm able to do that. Like I can have cauliflower. I never had problems with carrots. That's about 2 things. That's all I can eat. Even avocado just hurt my stomach so bad, and it was something that I used to eat all the time. So it really takes time for your gut to adjust and to make the enzymes that are needed. There's a lot that goes into that, but that is something that I just didn't expect, but it really helped me to have digestive enzymes. I still have them on hand, and I will still take them once in a while, but for the most part, I am so grateful that I can eat more things, not many, but more things, without having to take them. Now, one other thing to keep in mind is something I also didn't expect is after doing this, I started having histamine problems. I started having full body itching. Histamine issues can also result in stuff that just appears to be like allergies and skin irritation and blotchiness and For me, it was just a lot of itching, but then it also turned into sinus problems, headaches, migraines. And I didn't realize that the bacon was the biggest culprit. There are other foods that I would love to eat that are really high histamine, so I'm currently just avoiding them. So in my last video, I shared with you something that worked for me to fix my sleep and my 3 a.m. wake ups. But since that time, things have shifted a bit, and that only worked for me for so long. Before I explain what I did and what I'm doing now and what's really worked, please note that in another question, I shared like the full details in depth of all of the things combined that have helped my sleep, because what I'm sharing here is just the main thing that has helped. But for me, I look at this whole thing as like my health is puzzle pieces, and there's going to be one big puzzle piece here that I'm going to mention to you, but there are many, many other ones that are really important supportive puzzle pieces that have really helped me maintain my excellent sleep. So with that said, what I did and what I mentioned in the last video is that I just added in a small portion of carbs after my last meal. And that's all it took for me to sleep through the night in the beginning, because my body was so deprived of carbs that having them at that time really worked. Although that worked for me at the time and it did completely stop the wake ups, eventually that small serving wasn't really enough to keep me balanced throughout the night. So now I personally include small servings of carbohydrates with my meals. At least 2 out of the 3 meals that I have per day, I include a small serving of carbs. For me, the bulk of my diet is still meat. Everything is based around meat and animal products. I can't have dairy because I'm lactose intolerant, but it is meat and eggs. And the rest of it are add-ins that have really proven to help my health and my hormones and my sleep. So the reason this is so important is that when I'm eating these carbs more than just that one time a day, so that keeps glycogen, which is your body's stored energy reserve, it keeps it topped off. So you can think of glycogen as a gas tank, and when it's full, you can sleep and rest without any issues at night. When it's empty, cortisol rises in order to stabilize your blood sugar levels, and that is what causes wake-ups for many people, including myself. Since keeping that tank full throughout the day, my sleep has been so much better. I now sleep an average of 7 hours a night, sometimes 8 and sometimes more. I personally also was having issues of low blood sugar back then when I was doing like straight carnivore and extremely low carb. So by adding in more carbs throughout the day, that has also fixed that issue as well. So long-term, very low-carb eating can suppress insulin signaling in some people. So insulin is very important. It's not the enemy, and it is not just about blood sugar stability. It also supports your thyroid function, hormone balance, and protein synthesis. It's very, very important.
Insulin is a hormone that has multiple functions other than just energy control. The concern, though, is that you don't have insulin. So your protein synthesis, your autophagy, all of those things are failing and become problematic when you don't have insulin. We need that insulin.
When insulin is chronically too low, the body relies a lot more on stress hormones in order to keep things stable. And that can lead to things like early wake-ups, excessive hunger, and fatigue. For me personally, spreading in small carbohydrate portions throughout the day reintroduced a more normal insulin response. So I'm still fat adapted and I am in ketosis for most of the time, but I just don't feel depleted anymore. I'm not struggling anymore like I was. So diet was the biggest piece of the puzzle for me. It was the most important thing that made the biggest change for my sleep. But that was not all that helped me, because I would still have the occasional 3 a.m. wake up. There are times when I have a flare-up of sleep issues. They're often related to sinus problems, but there have also been related to my diet where I didn't realize that I was eating too low carb again, or I skipped a meal, or I didn't have fruit with my meal, or I didn't have carbs with my meal. And a couple of times I did a straight up experiment of eating pure carnivore again, and immediately I was up at 2:30 to 3. Okay, so here are some other things that have really helped with my sleep. Through tracking things so extensively, what I've noticed is that strength training and daily movement, getting your heart rate up, have had the biggest impact on improving my deep sleep levels. And deep sleep is extremely important in feeling refreshed when you wake up and feeling like you've actually slept. So I've also completely cut out caffeine, and that has had some benefits as well. It didn't fix this whole sleep issue. It didn't lengthen the duration of my sleep, but it has improved my REM levels, and I'm dreaming basically all the time now. So there are also some nighttime supplements that I take, and I've been taking glycine for many, many, many years now, and I take it about 30 minutes before bed. It's very relaxing. Some people take about 3,000 milligrams. I just take 1,000 milligrams. Sometimes I'll take 2,000. And I also take magnesium glycinate or just magnesium, whatever I have on hand. Something I've discovered more recently that has been extremely beneficial for my sleep has been GABA, and I only take a small amount. I'm fearful of taking too many or too high of an amount of different supplements related to your sleep because I tend to get really groggy and feel horrible from stuff like melatonin. But when it comes to the GABA, I'm taking about 100 milligrams of it before bed, and I feel like it's part of what is contributing to helping me stay so relaxed and so comfortable and sleep as long as I've been sleeping. I know the main thing is the diet, but this is just something that is really supportive and has been really helpful. Now, morning sunlight is also something that is incredibly important, and so few people talk about this when it comes to these sleep-related issues. But where I live, I do not have sun exposure to that degree. There's a big part of the year where I live where it is just kind of gloomy or overcast. And so I don't have a lot of sun exposure, but I try to do it. And I try to do it at a certain time because this helps to reset your circadian rhythm. And this is so incredibly important for us who are dealing with these 3 a.m. wake ups. Because I don't have a lot of access to that, I ended up getting some light therapy glasses by the brand Luminette. They're right here. And this is a product that a family member of mine had, and I borrowed his. I started using them, and I noticed that it helped my sleep at the time. There's 3 different settings, and you wear them for about 20 to 30 minutes and it'll start flashing and it will turn off once you've worn it for the set amount of time, or you can turn it off yourself. And I wear them in the morning in order to reset my circadian rhythm and to get that light into my eyes. And I have been using these for so long, and I found them to be so supportive of my sleep that I ended up reaching out to the company and asking them to partner with me. So this little portion of the video is sponsored by Luminette. So I'm just gonna share a little bit of information about them with you here. So if you've never heard of these before and you're not sure about them, there is some solid research behind these glasses. The clinical studies have been done in collaboration with universities, and they've shown that Luminette helps with seasonal depression, circadian rhythm disorders, and even improves cognitive performance. One study found that 68% of users reported better sleep quality. Another showed 58% felt their energy improved and fatigue went down. If you're interested in trying these out, I do have a coupon code LIFEDIY15, and that is going to give you a great discount on the product. Also, they have a 30-day money-back guarantee. One big tip that I can share with you because of my past mistakes is that if you do wake up too early one morning, or it's happening every day after day after day, if that happens, do not expose yourself to blue light from your phone, from the TV, from your computer. If it's possible, try really hard to avoid exposing yourself to that blue light when you're waking up at the wrong time. Let's say it's 3 in the morning and you're up and you're just staring at your phone because there's nothing else to do. I used to do that, and I didn't realize how I was solidifying in that horrible wake up time. It's important, if you are gonna wake up and you just cannot lay there in bed anymore, to get some blue light blocking glasses and to wear those until whatever time you're okay with. Like for me, it's 5 a.m. After 5 a.m., I can turn things on and I'm okay with that because that is my normal wake up time now. Carbs are not the enemy. In my opinion, carbs are a tool, and they also taste good. And it is not abnormal to eat fruits or vegetables and to eat real foods. I am trying my best to be as healthy as I can be and using every tool I possibly can. And it took me way too long to figure out the most basic and simple solution was adding in carbs, not just for one meal, but for most of my meals. This is strangely such a simple solution, but it's one that we've all wanted to avoid because for some people, they've like demonized carbs, they've demonized fruit, and they've demonized all of the food that we have that is other than meat. I've seen a lot of online conversations lately where people say stuff like, there are no nutrients in any of the vegetables that are grown nowadays. Well, I'm personally doing my best to eat things that are organic and also growing things outside. And other than that, I don't buy that because I haven't seen any evidence of it. I know that it could be true that our nutrient levels in the foods are depleted. I know that could be true, but to say there are no nutrients and it's just a toxic poison for you is a bit extreme. And personally, I've thought of doing a video on this where I get some products tested because there are labs that can test the nutrient levels in different foods. So this is just something that I've been thinking about because I can't imagine that there are no nutrients at all. I'd like to know what they are compared to what they were years ago, if that's something we can compare. Also, we just all have to do our best with what we have. If I can buy organic, I do that. And I try to eat as healthy as I possibly can with real foods as much as possible. But nobody's perfect, and we are trying to live our lives. So I just want to encourage you not to be afraid to do whatever you have to do to eat however you want to eat. If you're eating carnivore and you love it, then good. If you want to change things up because you're trying to fix your sleep or your hunger issues or whatever it is, good. Go for it. Do it. And don't let anybody stop you or try to shame you over it. It's just ridiculous. So thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions or you want to share any of your experiences, if you found things that have helped you, please share that down below in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos and take care.